night, late night,
Please be able to
between the hedges. First of all, I want to
Okay, just start reading.
commend Georgia Southern, Coach Fritz and his team, his staff, for a job well done. They are, they were what we thought they were. Just a team that knows how to win, a team that, is coached tremendously well in all areas, and they played their tails off, but our guys did too. And it was a great victory. I'm really excited about how it finished. Once it got to overtime and see our defense put them in a couple bad situations. Obviously, they almost made the first down, but didn't. So they had a fourth down stop that was huge, obviously, and then the offense went ahead and knocked it in and took all the drama out, which was nice. Very thankful for the victory. Especially proud of our seniors. They were elated. It was just great to see the smiles on their faces at the end of that game and how appreciative they were for their teammates to play the way they played, and that was great. Our fans were phenomenal. I don't know if we had won the game without them. They created energy, and it was a tremendous job by our fans. Even our students, I was shocked. The fact that they got out on Friday and didn't have to come back to school until a week from Monday. I'm like, there's not going to be any students around, but they showed up in numbers, and it was tremendous. We got a new UGA, that was big. Try to think what else I wanted to say. Maybe it'll come to me before we finish up, but outstanding victory, and looking forward to next week.
Coach, when you put the ball on the ground 2 times like you did, in places you did, how fortunate do you feel to kind of be able to have a chance to win?
Well, it's big. You just, the first turnover was, it was just awful. We drive it down the field on our first drive, get 7 on the board. Defense does a great job, get great field position. We're moving it down the field again. Got the first down, I don't know if it was inside the 20 or wherever it was, but moving it down towards the red area, and the ball comes out. That hurts. Absolutely cost us points, cost us momentum. And then obviously the second turnover, the one that they scooped and scored, it could have been devastating. It felt that way for a minute, but there's still a lot of time on the clock and time to recover from it, and we did. Great job by our defense, getting some stops along the way. Our offense, did a good job of putting us in position to kick that field goal to tie it up. I know that that was big. Considering the first field goal, we had pressure right at the gut. I think if Marshall would have kicked it right down the middle, it might have got blocked, quite frankly. And that was some of the thinking when we got towards the end of the game, where I decided not to just let the clock run out when we got to about 9 seconds or whatever it was. I was thinking if we got it at long field goal range, I just didn't know if that was the right thing to do at the time. So I felt like let's just go to overtime and get our bearings and bow our neck and motivate our guys and finish it. So that's what happened, and was thankful that the boys did their job.
What happened to Isaiah McKenzie after that hit?
Something happened to his foot. Even the very last time he touched the ball, I think he got taped up or whatever. We did take an x-ray. We didn't see anything on there that would suggest there was a broken bone. And he wanted to go back in there and did, but he just, as time wore on, it just got worse, and we kept him out.
Coach, you talked all week about how good you thought Georgia Southern were. Anytime you lose to somebody like that, it's just, is it relief that you feel after a game like this?
Well, how the game ended up going, yeah, when you're in overtime and win it, yeah, you feel relief, but I usually feel relief every time we win a game. I feel thankfulness when we win games. I don't get too wild one way or another, but usually my feeling is thankfulness. But if you play a game that's super tight and it could have gone either way, yeah, you feel a little relief when you come out with victory.
What was Southern doing up the middle defensively that was giving you guys fits on offensively?
Well, you know, they had two big dudes in there. One of them's 305 pounds, the other one's about 320, 330. The middle linebacker's about 6'3", 245. I mean, that was the thing I was saying that I felt was a little bit different about this team than years past when we played. It was just the size of them. I mean, they had two safeties over 6 foot, one 6'1", one 6'2", both over 200 pounds. Just, they lined up and they looked every bit like a Southeastern Conference football team for the most part. Their offensive line, I think all but one weighed over 300 pounds. Really good-looking athletes. They're fast and agile. I mean, when we watch their kicking teams, we're watching them fly down the field as good or better than anybody we play. Just like I said, well-coached team, a team that knows how to win, and they played their tails off.
How fitting was it for Jordan Jenkins to get that stop on 4th down in his last home game here?
Well, there's a lot of guys playing the last home game, and but I'm happy for Jordan that he made that play. Happy for Georgia that he made that play. But it's always good to see the seniors rise up and do something significant when it counts the most. And I'm sure he'll remember that for the rest of his life.
What's tough about that, their triple option, especially just the 1 week to be added?
I'm sorry, what's tough about it?
Yeah, just maybe the toughest part about defending that.
Just trying to simulate it. You can't all of a sudden be good at it in a week and get your scout team to do it. You get your first team offense and maybe get a quarterback that could possibly maybe ran it in high school and still not simulate it as good as they can do it, obviously. So that's the hardest part, is just trying to simulate the speed and timing. I mean, you could see what they're doing, why they're doing it, but until you play it full speed, it's hard to get used to it. And it's kind of a relentless type of offense where they just keep hammering, and then something breaks big. And they made some big plays throwing and catching too. They had some real key third down conversions. I thought they really played well.
Coach, when you spoke with Coach Pruitt after the game, he said you guys had some communication with the controlling staff, said that they had played a couple Power 5 schools and Georgia Southern was the most physical team that they had played. Did it bear out that way, or did you guys know what kind of...
We knew. I mean, I'm telling you, everybody's like, well, Coach is just saying this and that, trying to get his boys ready to play, but we, especially our defensive staff, could see how well this offense executed, and just knowing what it takes to try to prepare for an offense like that, it keeps you up at night. And, offensively, if you can't really say if, but you take the turnovers out of it, we were really starting to move the ball good. We were throwing and catching pretty good. I thought Grayson had a great week of practice, was throwing it beautifully, and I thought he threw it well tonight. A couple misfires, but for the most part, he put it on the money, and he made good decisions most of the time as well. I don't think there was one ball that could have or should have gotten picked, which is huge, and that's a big part of being a quarterback in this system, that you have to respect that ball, and I thought he did a very good job of that.
Mark, SEC sticks like some hits today with Florida, going to overtime with Florida,
Right.
beating South Carolina,
Right.
Georgia Southern. Is there something we're missing with some of these teams?
I mean, anytime a team that's not in our league plays us or plays South Carolina or plays Florida, whoever it is, I mean, it's they get pretty dang excited about it. The thought of knocking us off is exciting to them. They, the underdog role, a lot of people feed off that, especially, again, teams that are used to winning. And I don't know I don't know who played who and what their records were and all that kind of thing, but I know who we played and I know how good they are. And they've only lost one conference game in 2 years, and they're very worthy of being an FBS team.
Those two games that you're talking about were over before you played. Did you mention those results?
I didn't. One thing I did do was on Monday I showed the staff and I showed our team 2 clips. One was the go-ahead touchdown against Florida in the swamp a couple years ago, and then showed them the last play of the game where Florida was trying to get back in it and couldn't do it, and watching them celebrate in the swamp. had nothing to do with trying to disrespect Florida, it just had to do with, you know, showing respect for Georgia Southern, and that they can go into an SEC house, somebody's house, and go get the victory. And, you know, I said, you know, it's human nature for the fans and for maybe even you guys to be thinking, oh, well, you know, we finished the SEC play and here we go with Georgia Southern, but I was just trying to help them understand what this team was about. So it was all about respect for Georgia Southern, and I wanted to show them what these guys are capable of. And a lot of those guys in that video were still they were very young players when that happened.
It looked like Gaines was kind of fighting through some
Oh,
injuries
yeah.
there. How impressed were you with?
Again, this has been great for us. I mean, let's face it, the guy shows up after the majority of his career is over at UAB. He's about to be a senior there at UAB, and they stopped playing football. And he's like, what do I do now? And just very thankful that he chose Georgia. I told him that tonight, too. It's hard to come in and win a job, let alone become a really strong leader. And he has been that for us. He knows what to do. He came in with a humble spirit, a teachable spirit, and the guys respect him because he learned quick, and he's an instinctive football player, and he makes plays, and he's tough. And you know, he was fighting through some injury and some pain, and just kept getting it out like a lot of guys were. But you could see that we knew he was in pain, but he wanted to keep going, and we knew he was safe to go back, but some things just hurt a little bit more than others as far as the injuries.
How does this help to prepare you for
Well, just, I think the big thing is how, just the style of offensive play in regard to, they're all about long drives. They're all about sucking the life out of the clock. They're about converting third downs and fourth downs and just kind of keeping it away from your offense. You just kind of got to get used to that kind of play. I think that's going to help us as much as anything. But again, like I mentioned before, when you play any kind of option team, there's certain rules that you have to abide by, and that is stay true to your gaps, and you really must defeat blocks. There's other offenses you'll play where you'll have an unblocked safety in the box, or you'll have another unblocked safety that's deep. But when you play these guys, there's a lot of times where you have nobody that doesn't have a block or arm. And again, that's why you have to learn to defeat those blocks and make sure tackles.
What was going on with
I know you wanted to say.
Sorry, what was your message to the team heading into overtime?
I didn't really call the whole team up. I wanted each coordinator to have time to just talk about exactly how we were going to go about it. I didn't think it was time for an inspirational rah-rah speech as much as, it's just like the message at halftime wasn't about emotion. The message at halftime was about focusing on your responsibility, get lined up, all right, had the right assignment, the right technique, and then add effort to it. It wasn't about emotion as much as focusing on your job rather than everything that's going on, this score, and what if this happens, or what if that happens, or forget all that. Every snap, know your job, and do it to the best of your ability, and that's what we wanted to focus on.
On that 4th and 1, what was kind of going through your brain at that?
Well, I tell you what, we've made a lot of stops on 4th and 1, or even 3rd and 1. And even around the country, you watch games around the country, I don't know if it's this year more than others, but I've seen a bunch of guys get stoned on the 1 yard line or 1 yard, people going for it, getting stoned, getting in the backfield. You know, so I was just basically, hoping for a big stop, and
You were okay with them not kicking?
I'm sorry?
You were okay with them not kicking?
Not kicking it at that point? Well, as it turned out, yeah. But I think they did the right thing. I think they did the right thing when you're that close. You know, a field goal in overtime doesn't make you feel good. And if it was 4th and 2 or 3 or 4, they probably would have tried to kick the ball, I would guess. But that's short. I don't blame them one bit for trying to go get it and go put 7 on the board and put the pressure on us.
Pete Marshall? It's not helping.
Yeah, I mean, by the end of the week, he looked better than he did at the beginning of the week, but he still, in our opinion, wasn't full speed. We knew he could play if needed, but we just didn't think he was really full speed yet, so my guess is by Monday, he'll be running around pretty good.
When did the Tech game become a really big game for you?
For me?
In your career here?
Always. Really, truly, always. I know what it means to the Georgia people. And of course, even when I rolled in town, you know, Georgia lost 3 in a row to Georgia Tech. I mean, if I didn't know it, I knew it by the time the Bulldog
That's
closed the
what
road.
people said more than anything else.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, that and Florida probably, you know, first time around. But the biggest thing in the Georgia people's craw, in my opinion, was getting whipped 3 years in a row, and they didn't like that much.
And after '08, how big a deal did it become then? Because y'all won Tiger Woods.
So I guess we lost that one in '08. I hate losing, period, but it's something about even losing the last game of the year is just tough. And you gotta go recruit for a month before you play a bowl game or whatever it is. And it's hard to lose the last regular season game of the year, regardless of who it is, but when it's to your in-state rival, it hurts just a little bit more.
Coach, how about the support for Devin?
Yeah, I love it. He was at the tail end of the dog walk, and actually in the stadium around the 25-yard line near our end zone or our locker room side. But he had a chance to greet every one of our players as they went through, and most of them hit game 5, if not stopped, and give them a hug and all that. But I have. I've greeted the team coming off the dog walk before and kind of giving everybody 5 as they come in or whatever. And it's exhausting, I'll be honest with you. It's about 80 guys. Well, this game, we had everybody dressed. So we had over 120 guys dressed. Every single guy was giving it 5. And I'm like, when I saw him, I waited until everybody was gone. I said, you gotta be exhausted right now. You know, he just said, no, it was great rehab for him. But just a great spirit about him. I mean, he truly knows where his spirit and soul are, and he trusts God with everything. And it's just amazing because you know it's easy to praise God when things are going good, but you know, he's praising God after something like that. It's just amazing to watch and inspirational to me.
Do you think your guys have learned much of anything watching that?
Watching him.
Yeah.
You know, I think yes, and I think as guys reflect a little bit, and even, you know, just to see him in person like that, and, you know, I guess it's Friday, when we travel to Atlanta, we always stop, half the team stops at Shepherd Center, and half the team stops at Children's Health Care of Atlanta, and so we'll have a bunch of guys go see him